Yeah, all right. Go on, fellas. Get around the piano. Let's have a good go. Come on, then. You ready? Come on, you lot. Go on, then. Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The imps are here to stay. Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The imps are here to stay.
Good evening. How are we doing? Just wanted to do a quick live show this evening. I'm not in the bar. There's a reason for that. It's tip freezingly cold, and I just didn't want to drag everything out there. So I am in the office today, but we've still called it in the bar because I don't have a graphic for in the office. So tonight we are previewing, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm doing all my own production tonight. Shrewsbury versus the Imps. We've got team news and reaction to the team news when it comes in. It isn't being telegraphed through to me in the same way as Matchday Live. I'm waiting for it on Twitter, the same as you guys. And then when it comes in, we'll have a quick look and a quick discussion, and I'll take some of your comments. It's going to be a really quick show. So first of all, let's discuss the Papa John's Trophy, which is ironic because we're having pizza for tea here, not from Papa John's, from Aldi, but there we go. So it's the Papa John's Trophy tonight. Shrewsbury, we're through the group stages, and I noticed a few interesting parallels with the same stage of the competition in 2017-18, which is the year that we won it. And that's the kind of the proximity of the fixtures to the league, the corresponding league fixture. So, for instance, when we played Accrington back in 2017-18, we beat them 3-2 in the competition. It was a big win for us, that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then within 10 days, we played Accrington again in the league. And we beat them 2-0. Now, bear in mind, Accrington were champions that season. And so we beat them twice within the space of 10 days, which was phenomenal. And I actually think that that is a real bonus from tonight's game, is that we're going to go and get a glance of Steve Cotterill's Shrewsbury tonight. I think that they'll be relatively strong, Shrewsbury. I think that they'll play a team that's going to go out to try and win the game. And I know that sounds stupid, but, you know, you get your Steve Evans saying we don't really care about this competition. Got really strong feeling Shrewsbury do. The rock bottom of the league, but I don't think that that is an entirely fair position. They don't win enough games, granted, but when you look at the amount that they've drawn, in actual fact, they're quite tough cookies. They're quite hard to break down at times. Steve Cotterill's old school. I think he's got the former Rochdale man, Aaron Wilbraham, there as his assistant as well. So I think they're going to be quite a tough prospect. I would imagine they're going to look to get from back to front quite quickly, and there might be some slightly contrasting styles of football on show. But we're going to get a good look at them tonight, and then they're going to welcome them back at the bank next week. Now, look, if you give me an option here, you can have a win tonight or a win next Tuesday. You take next Tuesday. But the fact that we're going to be able to look at them close hands, going to look at them first hand, is going to be really, really interesting, and I think that's going to work in our favour next week. Now, what I'd also say is this competition is much maligned. You know, people are not particularly big fans of the EFL Trophy or the Papa John's Trophy. It gets some ridicule. There was obviously those that chose to boycott it and would still be doing so were we in the stadiums. And I kind of understand it to a degree. It's a little insulting playing under 21 teams, granted, but there's good prize money on offer. And we're coming up to a really crucial stage of the season. I did an article yesterday on the 82-83 season. Sorry, I just keep checking my second screen for team news. Where a lack of investment cost us promotion. Look, that's not the situation this season. Any investment that's possible, you absolutely know that the board are going to back the team. But it just, every penny helps. You know, it's a little bit like that Tesco. Every little helps, isn't it? They haven't paid me for that advert, by the way. So every little helps. So a win tonight, I'm not sure the exact amount of prize money, but I believe it's a 5-figure sum. 5-figure sums are not to be sniffed at. This competition is lucrative. Michael Appleton has unfinished business in the competition as well. Absolutely 100%, no doubt whatsoever about that. He's been to the final twice, been beaten twice. I think that he wants to win it. It's kind of I think it's a little bit personal with him as well. So, talking team news, we've already heard, if you didn't read the Echo piece yesterday, that he's going to play Alex Palmer in goal, even though Ethan Ross is fit again, because it's a competition he wants to win. They want to win games. He can't rotate the team as much as he would like. I think we had some injuries. We know Callum Morton obviously won't be playing. We keep saying that every week. He's not back till February, but just to remind you of that situation. Then Bridcut missed a game at the weekend and is likely to miss again tonight. Lewis Monsma was struggling, I believe, with a knee injury. James Jones, who I spoke to yesterday, is struggling with a knee injury. It's going to be really tough for him to rest any players whatsoever. I've got an idea of how I think one or two of the players might fit into the side. But first of all, before I do that, we'll have a quick look through some of your comments. So we've got Kate Jackson. Evening, Mr. Hutchinson. Hope you're well. I am well. Thank you very much. Third time playing Shrewsbury in this competition this millennium. Hopefully a third win indeed. I think last millennium we played the missed competition. Was it not Darren Huckabee? Did Darren Huckabee make his debut in this competition for us? Might have been in the league, that, to be honest. Evening, Sean. Hope you're all right, pal. Got Derek Carlisle here saying hello as well. Evening to you, my friend. Mr. Barwise. Evening, Gary. Saturday's far more important versus the Mackham, so let's not risk anyone with a knock, even if it means playing kids. I'm down with that. 100%. No risks tonight. If we've got fit first team players, he's probably going to have to play them, but no risks. You don't bring in a Lewis Monsma struggling with a knee injury for this game, especially not when actually we might only have, I think it's 14 players. Dan Shin has said there, 14 players. Who can he rest? Quite right. But if we have only got the 14 players, we've still probably got more options in terms of how we set up and in terms of who plays where than we've had in previous years, thanks to the huge amount of versatility within the squad. So there was Sean saying he might rest a few. I think Dan was answering that. And Reese says, am I on YouTube as well? I am indeed, Reese, or I hope I am. Otherwise, there is a bug in the system. So there we go. Right. So we know Alex Palmer's going to play. Almost certainly. So that takes us to the back four. And this is where I think there's an awful lot of flexibility. I'll come to a comment I've just seen in a minute, Richard. It gives us an awful lot of flexibility. Now, if Lewis Monsma is struggling, I don't expect him to play. I think Adam Jackson misses out. I would actually be surprised if Michael risks Joe Walsh as well. And all of this, I'm saying all of this in 8 minutes, I might be made to look like a right mug. But you put yourself out there, don't you? So I actually think that it's likely that we won't see any of what we would class as our first team central defence on display tonight. There's a strong possibility in my mind that we will start with TJ Ioma alongside Sean Rowan at centre-back. That worked well against Mansfield. I thought they had a really good game together. I think it was Mansfield. Both probably centre-backs in their own eyes. Certainly, I think long-term, Sean Rowan will be playing centre-back. TJ Ioma, I think, is the sort of player that can adapt very easily. Really liked him at centre-back when he's played. And then that leaves the two full-backs. Max Melbourne didn't play on Saturday, assuming that he isn't carrying a knock. I think he came on as a sub. He will almost certainly start on the left, in my opinion, and Robbie Gotts on the right. And I think Robbie Gotts has been absolutely spot on the last couple of games. I think he's really shown himself to be settling into senior football quite quickly. I thought he was really good at right back. I think it was the Plymouth game. I might be wrong. Thought he had a really good game as well. So again, it sounds makeshift, but in actual fact, that's not a bad back four. And I think that's one of the reasons as well that Alex Palmer will play, because you've got that kind of senior experience there, which will help guide TJ and Sean Rowan through the match. And let's not forget, Shrewsbury have got some decent strikers. They're a good side. They can attack. They've been playing badly at the moment, but Steve Cottrell will be instilling that new manager bounce. If Daniel Udo plays, he's a player that I've liked in the past. He came from Telford, I believe. So we'll just refresh that to see if we've got the team news. It is only 5-2, but you never know. So it's going to be interesting. I think in the middle of the park, look, if James Jones is struggling with a knock, you don't play James Jones. Teo Eden potentially could play a central midfield. He's played in there for us before. It wouldn't surprise me. Conor McGrandles, I think he's a bit of an unsung hero, could appear in the midfield. And George Grant, look, in an ideal world, you rest George Grant today. But if Berlin Bridcut isn't fit, if you're having to play the likes of Robbie Gotts in defence, we're not going to have that many options. There is, of course, Remy Houth, who was back on the bench. Fully expect him to be involved at some point to this evening. Whether he'll start or not, potentially. He did start the game against Manchester City and obviously got Manchester City kids and obviously got injured. So it'll be interesting to see where he might actually fit in. And also, Eden's suspended. My apologies, Phil. Yes, I did read that earlier. So Eden won't play, so it's likely that Remy Howarth plays. Zach El-Bazedi, potentially, I don't know. We're not seeing an awful lot of Zach. Anthony Scully came on late. He's had a good run of senior games, or maybe he should play. It's going to be really interesting, to be honest. And up front, actually, we've probably got fewer options than we've had in the past few weeks as well, in terms of, if we want to rest some senior players. So it's going to be interesting, really interesting. 5 minutes to go. Let's have a quick look through some of your comments. Now, Richard Cross did message me earlier in the week. He had a bugbear, I believe, with me saying people play football the right way. And I think I can understand where you're coming from, Richard. The right way to play football is the way that gets you 3 points, was the point you very validly made to me. I don't think that's shared by everybody. I think there's a lot of people who saw us picking up 3 points a time under John Beck, and I know I'm shooting off on a different tangent here, but who would almost certainly say, absolutely, you play. I would rather play nice football and be moderately successful than play crap football and be really successful. Personally, I like to say we play football the right way because I haven't been able to say that we play football the right way in inverted commas for an awful long time. And I think Danny and Nicky here, we play football as much as we could, but we did go from back to front quickly as well. And prior to that, we've toyed with football. We play football, when I say the right way, I mean in the purists way. People like to see football on the floor. They like to see neat passing triangles. They like to see passes that kind of pick players out and a fluid movement up the field. Whether that's the right way or not, arguably, it's probably more of a saying than it is a philosophy. But when I say somebody plays football the right way, I mean they pass, they play for the purists, they play for the fans. And then when I say a team, I probably like to get back to front quicker, like to go a little bit longer. It doesn't always please the supporters. And arguably the right and the wrong way is probably the wrong way for me to describe it. Who knows? Right, next up, Mark Williams, no match day live. No, we don't do a match day live, Mark, on EFL Trophy games. So I have decided to fill the void a little myself this evening, just to give you guys something to look to interact with, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of team news reaction when it comes out. I may be able to share my screen actually with the team news, but I don't know. I haven't got Charlie pulling the strings in the background. He's brilliant at that on a match day. So unfortunately we don't have that at all. Pete says, I can't get used to you clean shaven. You don't have to wake up next to me, so no problem there. Phil, both basically telling me that Eden was suspended, which I did see and completely missed. I didn't write it on my notes, which made me look a bit of a mug. Chicken for tea, Neil Carlton, fantastic pizza for me, my friend. I'm not sure quite what's on the top of my pizza, and also some loaded potato skins. Carbs on carbs. It's like double denim. Cornell Brumman, we will win tonight. Cornell, you surprised me. I thought you might think that we'd go for a draw. Cornell is always optimistic. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Phil Dainty, Anderson potentially at right back and Gotts in midfield. It's an option. Yeah, it's certainly an option. It's games like this where you really kind of wish that maybe Alex Bradley or Aaron Lewis was still in the squad. And I can with Aaron Lewis, I can understand why he's been loaned out. I think that there's probably more to that story than the average supporter knows. With Alex Bradley, this would be his competition, but it's almost what I think I would probably call the Ethan Ross effect. Is if this is your competition, and in actual fact you've got players who are fit and you don't play any other games, and that's the issue with Ethan Ross. Had a conversation earlier with Pete, who can't get used to me being clean shaven, about will Ethan Ross actually will he struggle to appear again for Lincoln? Really nice guy, decent keeper. That error against Manchester City probably has just set Michael's mind a little bit, thinking, well, we need to be a little bit more solid at the back. I need a little bit more organisation. I'm going to go with Alex Palmer. Richard Cross, what's that over my left shoulder? Well, this is it's all mirrored for me. It's a phallic cactus. That's what it is. It's a cactus that looks a little bit like erect genitalia. So there we go. What have we got here? Thank you for filling the void. I'm getting used to pre-match stuff. No risks to key players. Saturday is far more important. Absolutely right, Shane. 100%. Well, we're nearly at 6 o'clock. So I've got my second screen up here. I'm looking to see if I'm going to be made to feel a mug with my predictions. I'll go out on a limb and say I don't think Tom Hopper will start up front. I think, with one central striker, he's probably the player that we need to protect more than anybody. If Hopper goes down with an injury now, we would be in some serious trouble, I think, because you would have to play Brennan Johnson. You would then have to play a certain style, and I think that would restrict us in the league. So he's got to be very careful about where the risks are taken, even with players who are not carrying knocks. Cornell, just a quick one. Do you think Hayden Can will play tonight? Depending on how we're doing, I think that he will come on. I don't think Hayden will start. But given that it is now 6 o'clock and the team news should be out, I may be made to look like a fool. 6 changes from the win at Rochdale. So it's Alex Palmer, Robbie Gotts, TJ Ioma, Max Melbourne, Sean Rowan, Remy Howarth, Conor McGrandles, Brennan Johnson, Harry Anderson, Zach Elbouzedi, and Anthony Scully. The bench for Lincoln, Sam Long, Tom Hopper, George Grant, Joe Walsh, and Cornell, Hayden Cann. So let's pick the bones out of that then. Can I share that screen? Probably not, no. So obviously, if you've got your Twitter up, you'll be able to see it's certainly Alex Palmer in goal. Robbie Gotts would look to be right back from this graphic. TJ Ioma and Max Melbourne, I think, in the centre, with Sean Rowan at left back. It's the same back four. I think they've just probably played Melbourne and Rowan the other way around, which is quite interesting. Midfield almost certainly is Remy Howarth, Conor McGrandles and Brennan Johnson, unless tactically we're playing something a little bit different. Looks to me like it will probably be Howarth and Johnson in the kind of the attacking midfield role, if anything, with Conor McGrandles doing the Bridcott and the Grant role. McGrandles has been really busy, I think. He's a player. He's an unsung hero. He'll cover every blade of grass. So I think that's probably one bonus, is to see Conor in there. And up front, Harry Anderson on the right. I would say Zach Elbouzedi on the left and Anthony Scully. What a big night for 2 players, Remy Howarth and Zach Elbouzedi. Because if we don't go through, there's a potential that we'll go through. There's a potential we won't. But if we don't go through, potentially, this could be the last 2 starts that these 2 get, bar a catastrophic injury crisis through to the end of the season. So the only opportunities they may get to impress after tonight onwards, 10 minutes at the end of the odd game. If we progress, they may get more chances. Massive night for them. I like Remy. I think Remy's been unlucky with his injuries, unlucky with probably one or two of his outings. Very direct. Interesting to see if positionally he's going to be able to kind of sit a little rather than he seems very attacking to me. And like I say, a big night for Zach Elbouzedi. Massive night, in my opinion, for Zach. Because I think he had a great pre-season. Obviously, he's got the Ireland under-21 international experience, but it just hasn't clicked for him, has it, in senior football at the minute? I understand he's a really nice lad, really intelligent lad, grounded, down to earth. I'd love him to have a good game. And up front, Anthony Scully. My dad said the other day that he wasn't sure if Scully's turning out to be the player he thought he was going to be. And I don't think that was a slight on him. I think it's in the terms of type of player. Is he a number 9? Is he better cutting in from the left and cutting in inside? Is he better on the right, going outside? Is he better in a 10? It's really, really hard to pigeonhole Anthony Scully. But you won't have to if he scores goals. Right, so let's have a quick look at some comments, and then I'm going to have a quick run through the Shrewsbury team if I can find it as well. So I think Luke's talking about Brennan Johnson. Oh, no, he's talking about the game tonight. I'd love to go through, but it won't be the end of the world if we lose. If we want to keep up this momentum, it's vital we keep consistent form. Yes. Going into the Accrington game in 2017-18, we had lost 3 of our previous 6 games. We won that game 3-2 against Accrington. We then lost, and I've made some notes, Ben, if you're watching. We then lost 1 in the next 15. So you can use these games as a real springboard, and winning is a great habit to get into, and it is a habit as well. So Richard Cross thinks Gotts in midfield, Harry right back. Judging by the way the team graphic is set up, I don't think so. Understanding how they do the graphic, I think they tend to do it not by numbers, but by position. So I'm almost certain that Gotts will be playing right back. Cornell Brumman, could you see him going out on loan in January? If you mean Zach Elbouzedi, potentially. Depends if we get bodies in or not. If he's just on the fringe of the first team, I'm not so sure. But it wouldn't entirely surprise me. So. Right, so let's have a quick look, and this is excellent viewing for the 73 people who are still with us. So Shrewsbury have made a number of changes to their team as well. Running my eye down, interestingly enough, they've got Jason Cummings up front, who was at Hibernian and Nottingham Forest. He's a player I always thought would be better than he is. better than he's shown recently. So I think that's interesting. They've also got Scott Goldborn at fullback. I think he was at Wolves for a while. I might be wrong. Certainly was at Bristol City. So they've got some experience going in there. Ebanks Landell, I seem to think, is a big lump they've got at the back as well. So it's interesting. They've got Caton on the bench. I'm sure that's not James Caton, but he's certainly he was certainly a good player who we got from Shrewsbury. So it's hard to read the Shrewsbury side with the new manager bounce. And there are, to be honest, some names on there that I don't entirely recognise. Let's just have a look and see if I am missing anybody major for Shrewsbury. No, possibly not. I mean, I've got Ollie Norburn, Levan Clark, Rickle Pike. No, to be honest, they've actually gone quite weak by the looks of things as well, which I think we have had to, not by design, by almost because we've been forced to. So, be an interesting game, really interesting game. I don't do predictions on Matchday Live unless Sam pushes me, which he regularly does. It's really hard, though, isn't it, to predict an EFL Trophy game because how are the fringe players? And it's fair to say fringe players in the likes of Remy Howarth and Zach Elbazetti. How are the fringe players going to settle in? How are those players who have had spells out the team going to settle in? Max Melbourne's and Sean Rowan's. Big night for Sean Rowan as well. Massive, explosive start for us and then kind of has dropped out a little bit. Pete, who I chat to on a regular basis, had a theory about that. Potentially is Rowan kind of being taken out of the headlines for a while so that we keep him a bit longer? Is he being taken out of the headlines because we don't want him to get injured ahead of a January transfer? Who knows? Last couple of comments before I go and have my pizza before the pizza trophy. Jason Cummings will be dangerous tonight against us Imps. Absolutely right, Cornell. He's a danger man. You need to keep him quiet. Clive Smith, Scully put a great ball through for Hopper's goal. Scully to score tonight, I reckon. That's the thing with Anthony Scully. Do you know, he has bursts for me. He has like 70 minutes when he starts where he struggles a little bit, and then all of a sudden he explodes, and he has like 20 minutes where he's brilliant and he comes on as a sub and he affects the game, and it's strange. Maybe it wasn't you, Pete. He's saying he didn't have that conversation with me. Fair enough. Must have been somebody else. Don't know who else I speak to. Might have been the dog. And Ian Dovey says, shaving the cash off has taken 10 years off you, Mr. Gary. I'm assuming you mean the tash. Yeah, the beard will be coming back at some point, but not at the moment. So thank you, by the way, to everyone who contributed to Movember. We raised £400. Well, all in for men's mental health. So thank you for that. Right, so there we go. That is tonight's team. I haven't got it up in front of me, so I can't go through it again for those who are arriving late. I could probably do it from memory. Palmer, Gotts, it's coming up anyway. Was it Palmer, Gotts, Ayoma, Melbourne, Rowan, McGrandles, Johnson, Howarth, Scully, Anderson, and Elbazetti. That's your first team tonight. I'm sure the club would love me to say this. I don't have to, but you can watch the game on iFollow. I have bought it, so fingers crossed that I get a decent feed. Robert Haddon, he's just had his pizza. That's why he was late. I didn't know you were late, my friend. Don't tell me when you log in, but thanks for coming on anyway. My pizza, I think, will very soon be ready. So with that in mind, I am going to disappear. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the game.
Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay. Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay.